Hey, this is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and I am excited to be live with you this Wednesday, December 15th, to, as usual, share some Stonemaier Games news, to talk about some random topics, and answer any non-spoiler questions that you have. Lots of stuff going on today. I actually just filmed a video for my favorite mechanism in the new game Arc Nova, which I played for the first time yesterday with my friends Adam and Henry and had a blast playing it. It is a heavy Euro game that I actually love. There aren't many heavy Euro games that I really love. I'm more of a medium weight Euro game. And Arc Nova, the first play, just has me thinking nonstop about how good it is and how much I want to play it again. I don't think it's available everywhere yet, but I have it because Stonemaier Games is partners with Forland, although this is not a Stonemaier game. But I really enjoyed it. I hope you get the chance to play it as well. We also just finished our Role Player Adventures campaign, and we had an absolute blast. I think it is probably, it's definitely like my favorite cooperative campaign adventure game that I've ever played, and it might be my favorite campaign game that I've ever played. It was truly an amazing experience. I highly recommend Role Player Adventures. I loved it so much that I actually just yesterday filmed a video about the 10 things I learned about game design from Role Player Adventures. I learned a lot from playing it, and that video will go live next year. Looks like we have a few people joining us today. Dominic, George, Chad, Paul from over in Scotland, nice. Cynthia from MeepleSource, hey Cynthia. And Tony is joining us today. Before I forget, I want to mention that I'm wearing a brand new shirt. It's a Mondays with Thinker Themer shirt. Thinker Themer put a lot of work into finding some t-shirts that they were happy with for their fans, and I am definitely a fan of Thinker Themer, and so I just got my shirt in the mail yesterday and wanted to wear it. Has that new shirt smell right now, and it looks great. It's a really great shirt, fits great. If you get a shirt from Thinker Themer, I'd say that they run. I got a small, and usually I wear medium. So what does that mean? It means that they run large. They run a little large. So I normally wear a medium. I got a small shirt, and it fits perfectly. So keep that in mind if you order a shirt from Thinker Themer. You can check out their YouTube channel to get a shirt if you'd like. Lori is joining us today as well. Some other shirts that I'm getting. Oh, Chad says, "Whoops." What's going on, Chad? Oh, he says, hey, happy Wednesday. In addition to Arc Nova and Role Player Adventures, I also got to play Flesh and Blood for the first time last week. I can't remember if I mentioned that on last week's live cast. And also got to play Maglev Metro last week. And I've played the Lost Ruins of Arnak expansion a couple times over the last few weeks. Really enjoying that expansion. That might be my expansion of the year, I think. It might be close with that and the Fantastic Factories expansion, which is also really good. Howie is joining us from Pennsylvania. Hey, Howie, I believe it was you that posted some very insightful comments on the Stonemaier Games blog yesterday. Thanks for doing that. Some recent blog entries that I have posted, in case you all are curious. I did a blog about Wombo. Wombo, a word that I didn't know until recently, but Wombo is an app that creates, for my purposes, prototype art. It's a really cool app where you can go and put in, you can just type in a cue. You can say like, cats on Christmas, and the AI will take that information and will draw you a picture in a style of your choosing that you can use for prototypes. I don't know exactly what really you can use that art for, other than I would say at this point prototype art. But it's a really cool app. Did a post about that, and I also posted some insights from our 2021 demographic survey that. We do that every year just to learn about the people that are following Stonemaier Games and how we can better serve them. So we got some great insights from that survey. Jay asked for any updates on the Canadian fulfillment of Tapestry Arts and Architecture. I'm looking over at my email in case I have a last minute update, but the last I heard was on Monday that the ports are still incredibly clogged in Canada, and even though the container arrived in Canada in mid-November, it has not moved out of port yet. I am pushing our logistics company to do anything they can to get it out of port, but no, unfortunately, it is still stuck at port right now. Matthew says that he's playing the Viticulture mobile app while listening right now. Awesome, Matthew. Thanks for playing that. Glad you're having fun with that. I think they're working on a revamped version of it, and they're going to add Tuscany in the near future too. So I'm excited to see what they do with the Viticulture app. This is Digidice, the full AI version of the Viticulture app. Dave said that he played Gizmos and Isle of Cats this weekend for the first time and really enjoyed the simple building engine building of the former. Yeah, Gizmos, I've compared it a little bit to like a lighter version of Wingspan. And I hope you enjoyed Isle of Cats too, Dave. You didn't mention that one, but that is one of my favorite games. I love Isle of Cats. Rick says, how does the Kickstarter fee work? He says, when I calculate my goal, is the fee something I have to consider before, or is it a post-campaign charge? Basically, they take it out of the money that you receive from backers. So if you raise $100,000, Kickstarter actually gives you around $90,000. They take their fee out of the money paid to you from backers before you even get that money. Yeah. Lori says that she just bought Tapestry and is looking forward to learning how to play. And she says Wingspan is my all-time favorite game. Oh, that's wonderful, Lori. Thank you for expanding your Stonemaier horizons, and I hope you enjoy Tapestry. It's not a I don't think it's all that difficult to learn. It's a fairly streamlined rule book, but there are videos out there if you learn better from videos. Watch It Played has a video about Tapestry, as well as some other people. There's a page on the Stonemaier Games website that has some of those videos. And the Tapestry Facebook group is very helpful. John says he definitely played some great games at PAX this past weekend. He says some standouts for him were Arnak, It's a Wonderful Kingdom, Fire Tower, and Beyond the Sun. Oh yeah, Beyond the Sun, that was one of my favorite games from last year. And Arnak, I love Arnak. I haven't played It's a Wonderful Kingdom or Fire Tower, but I'm glad you had fun at PAX, John. Were there any games that you saw but didn't play that intrigued you there? Tim is joining us today. He says, any update on replacement markers for Rolling Realms or score pads for Between Two Castles expansion? Tim, yes. I don't know if we have an update yet, but we did look into some of your requests there. For replacement markers, if your marker for Rolling Realms runs out, for now, I would just suggest filling out the replacements parts form, and we'll send you another one. As for score pads for Between Two Castles, I'll have to look back at my notes about what we came to with that. Let's see if I can find my email real quick, because we did talk about it. Let's see, we talked about the Charterstone metal coins. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the markers. Yeah. I don't know exactly what we're doing with the markers yet, because... No, I think we did say we were going to offer the markers. But I don't know if anything's come of that yet. Let me add that back to my inbox, because I don't think we've done anything with the markers yet. With the score pads for Between Two Castles, I don't think... We haven't got many requests for those at all. So I don't... Or maybe we have. Let's see. I'm going to look on our website to see if that is something that we offer, and I just don't even realize it. Let's see if we offer castles. No, we don't offer the score pad yet. But Tim, we do offer... That's one of the things where we have the score pad on our website where you can print it out and laminate it if you want. That might be the way to go, because we've gotten so few requests for additional score pads for Between Two Castles. And we include another score pad in Secrets and Soirees. So if you really have run out, I don't think it's something that we're going to put on our web store, but you can make a special request if you want. Just make a request through the replacement parts form to say that you've run out of score pads and you'd like to buy another one, and we'll help you out that way. All right, that was a long answer to a short question. Sorry about that. Tony says, how's the Wingspan Big Box coming along? So the Wingspan Big Box is actually done. It is ready for production. We are just waiting for the next expansion for Wingspan to be done, because we want to... we're going to offer them separately, but we also want to offer the Wingspan expansion inside the nesting box for those who want it, so that we can cut down on shipping costs for us and for you. And so that's why we're just waiting for the next expansion to be ready. So we're close. I mean, we're done with the nesting box, and we're getting closer with the expansion. Dominic says that this weekend he played all of Pandemic Legacy Season 1 in one day with some friends. That's a lot of Pandemic Legacy for one day. How many games did it take? I'm curious. Because Pandemic Legacy Season 1 has that thing where if you lose a scenario, you have to repeat it, and then you're allowed to move to the next month. I think it took us around 15 or 16 games to do that. Pandemic Legacy Season 0 does something really cool where you can have a partial victory and right away move on to the next month, which I really liked. I don't like repeating things in campaign games, and so I think we only had to repeat maybe 1, maybe 2 months in Pandemic Legacy Season 0 because we had a huge fail. Maybe just once, and I preferred that to Season 1. But I also had a great time with Season 1. Garrett says that he finally got his copy of Destinies to the table, and he's hoping to get it to the table tonight. And just watched your Mechanisms video, and I'm super excited. Yeah, it's been a little while since I played that. That was one that I intended to go back and play some of the other missions from it, but I have so far I've only played it once. It's one of those games that I think I will end up playing solo, and whenever I am kind of geared up to play a game like that solo, whether it's a video game or a game like Destinies, I end up feeling like I should be doing game design instead. And then I get swept up in game design and have a great time with it. So I haven't gotten Destiny's back to the table in quite some time. But I did have fun with my first play of it. Jay says, what do I use for notes? OneNote, Apple Notes, Evernote, something else? I use a couple different things. So I use Evernote to clip pages from websites if I want to be able to find them and reference them in the future. I use something that I don't think is offered anymore. It's called Backpack. That is kind of my list making app. And I also use Trello as a note/list making app. On my phone, I use kind of the default, I think, Apple Notes. Yeah, I think it's just Apple Notes on my phone, but that's just for like grocery lists and things like that. Yeah. John says he wanted to check. He's talking. I asked John about PAX. He says he wanted to check out Veiled Fate and Mythic Mischief from IB Studios and the Arts and Architecture expansion. Wanted to bring it, but didn't make it in time. He says he's looking forward to getting that to his table. It's his fiance's favorite game. Oh, that's great to hear, John. I'm glad your fiance enjoys it. I hope you enjoy the expansion as well. It's fun to see people talk about that on Board Game Geek so far. And I feel terrible that it's not available in Canada yet, but we are itching to send it to you. We're just waiting for the port to release that container so we can get it to Hubtrotter and send it to our Canadian supporters. Corey says, do I have a suggestion for non-tech people wanting to get into recording board game rules videos, playthroughs, etc.? Well, that's what I am, Corey. I mean, I'm a tech person in some ways, but not for filming videos. Basically, I have a few different things. And I think I actually might have a blog post about this, but I'll say it real quick. Yeah, actually, no, I have a video about it on my YouTube channel, but I can't remember what the search terms. I have a blue Yeti mic, it's just a plug it in and you're good to go. I have a webcam from Viticulture that works fairly well. The autofocus is a little weird, but otherwise it works well. And I just use the default camera app on my Windows PC. I record everything in one take and I just upload it to YouTube. That's it. Like I keep it very simple. For my long form videos, I do send them to Joe, and Joe adds some of the fancy editing that you can see in those videos. But for all of my game design videos, they are one take videos that just use these two pieces of equipment and the basic camera app or camera software on a Windows PC. So that's it. You can keep it pretty simple, I think, and make it work out. Other people might have tips in the comments about other software they'd recommend, but that is my low-tech version for creating and uploading videos. Freddie says, is it possible to get the main board of Tapestry replaced? Yeah, sure, Freddie. If it's missing or damaged and you need a replacement for anything, fill out our replacement parts form on our website and we're happy to help you out. Okay, Joe clarified. Joe is listening here. Thank you, Joe. He says we're adding markers to the web store, but that may not happen until next year. So, Tim, in the meantime, if you really need those markers faster, feel free to fill out a replacements part form, even if it's just for like 1 or 2 markers. Hopefully, they last a long time. I have played many games of Roller Realms at this point, and it was just recently that I moved to another marker. The marker was still working, but it was starting to get a little dried out. Yeah, it seemed to work for a fairly long time. Tim says he's hoping I reconsider a big box for Tapestry. I don't know if I will. I mean, I guess if enough people say something, I'll have to think about it. But I really think the original box for Tapestry is big enough to hold everything. It's just a matter of a storage solution that can hold everything in that box really well. But making a bigger box for Tapestry, I don't know. I'm really hesitant about doing that. But yeah. I hear you. I just think it's fairly unlikely that we'll do that. Dominic said that his campaign of Pandemic Legacy Season 1 took 14 games. That's pretty good. So you only actually lost twice. That's pretty impressive, Dominic. Mark says he got his Arts and Architecture expansion, Viticulture the More Visitors expansion, and the Rhine Valley expansions, Terra Mystica Realm promo pack, and Scythe assigned card today. Yeah, I saw some posts about that, Mark, that you made. Mark says he can't wait to play with Arts and Architecture soon. Thank you so much for getting all that stuff, Mark. That means a lot to me that you support Stonemaier Games in that way, and hopefully those products bring you a lot of joy on your tabletop. Andrew says, thoughts on Ark Nova. So yeah, Ark Nova is a game that I just played yesterday for the first time. I have a detailed video that I think will go live this Friday, but the short answer is I loved it. It is a heavier Euro game than what I typically play. I'm usually more of a medium weight Euro gamer, but I really love this game. The core action system is absolutely brilliant. The way the theme is integrated into the mechanisms reminds me a lot of both Wingspan and Terraforming Mars. And I don't know, everything is just so well done. There might be like a little bit too much in the game for me, but that's just because I'm more of a medium weight Eurogamer. But I would say 98% of the game, and maybe there's like 2% too much stuff, but that's not a problem. It's one of those games where you can just ignore something if you really aren't ready to think about it. And after one play, as complex as it is, I think I'm prepared to teach it to other people, and which I'm excited to do. I can't wait to play it again. I've been thinking about it ever since I finished yesterday's game of it. Let's see, I'm scrolling back a little bit. Tim says, is the Scythe legendary box among the buried items? It is. Yeah, it is. Although, good news there, the shipping containers are no longer buried in the US. They are now just waiting to be picked up and delivered to Greater Than Games. So we have a little bit of forward progress there, but I don't see most of these containers being delivered until after Christmas. Chad says, have I been reading anything new? He says, I'm halfway through the Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and it's really good so far. That's great. I'm glad you're enjoying that so far. I don't think I've read that one. What am I reading? I'm reading the third book in the Green Bones series. I think it's Jade City, Jade War, and Jade Legacy is the last one that I'm reading, and it is epic. Like it is. I don't know if it's the end of I don't know if it's a trilogy or not. I don't know if it's the final book, but it's a big book, and I'm really, really loving this book. The Green Bones series, if you don't know, is it's kind of like a mafia book meets a fantasy kung fu. So fantasy meets kung fu meets mafia in a fantasy world where the fantasy is driven by Jade. In this world, Jade gives you superpowers, essentially. There's a few different superpowers that you can learn to control. You can't just like have a piece of Jade and automatically know how to use it. But it's a really interesting magic system, and the book focuses a lot on that magic system early on. But at this point, it's like part of the world. It's a big part of the world building, but it's less of it doesn't appear necessarily in every scene. The book is much more about, I don't know. It's just epic in scope. Like it covers so much time. It's a really, really cool series. If you like those three genres, I'd highly recommend checking out the Green Bones saga. Sean says that he played Rolling Realms yesterday at work during lunch, and it was a lot of fun. Thank you for making it. Well, thank you, Sean. I appreciate that, and I'm glad you're having fun with it so far. All right, and that you had fun with it at lunch. Freddie says, thank you for your updated insert post for Viticulture on Instagram. Oh, yeah. He says, I was bugging out when I was looking for how people stored their versions and found out what I was watching didn't match what I had received. Yeah, thanks, Freddie. So I'm glad you mentioned that. On Monday on Instagram, I posted a photo that someone else had noticed and posted on Board Game Geek a few days before that of the new version of the Viticulture insert. So we've actually kept the same insert in Viticulture for all 8 years that Viticulture has been out because, in my opinion, it actually worked pretty well. It was fairly modular, pretty much everything fit into that insert, but increasingly I've been getting feedback about how it was maybe a little bit confusing on how to put stuff in this insert and how to use it. And so we decided to revisit the insert this year. We kept the box exactly the same, so you won't, when you buy Viticulture, you don't know which version you're getting, but both inserts are perfectly fine. But the new insert has a big L-shaped that's designed to hold all the cards and the coins and the glass beads. And there are two removable and scoopable trays, each of which has 3 compartments. So there's 6 total compartments for all the player tokens. And so you can easily grab those out of the box or grab one of those out of the box if you're playing a 1 to 3 player game and have the tokens in that compartment and start playing. So it was just a kind of a small modification. And one of the questions that we got asked the most when I showed this is, for those of you who already have Viticulture, can you buy the insert by itself? And the answer right now is no, but there will be a more positive answer to that question later this year or later next year that I will talk about then. I don't want to spoil anything yet, but there is something in the works that will address that question or that desire. Yeah. Let's see. Alex says, a reliable little mouse told me that he might get Rolling Realms for Christmas. Will you continue the live plays after Christmas? I do intend to do the live plays for a long, long time. I don't know if I'll do them on a weekly basis, even though it doesn't take that much time. It might just be, too much at a certain point for me to do on a weekly basis. But I do intend them to do them at the very least on a monthly basis. Maybe I'll make a big event out of it instead of doing it kind of casually whenever I want. But yes, I do I do plan to continue to do them on a semi-regular basis. However, I'm glad you asked about that here. I plan to, as long as I remember, I plan to only do them in the Rolling Realms Facebook group from now on, and also post them on YouTube. So you can always check them out on YouTube afterward. But if you want to play against me live, make sure you join the Rolling Realms Facebook group so that you get notifications about when I go live. I've been doing them in this group, in this page, the Semi Regulars Facebook page, up until this point. And I think today will be the first one that I do just in the group. Juso says, who would you say is your favorite board game designer who doesn't work for Stonemaier or hasn't done anything for Stonemaier Games? It's hard for me. It's really hard for me to narrow it down. I mean, I love Uwe Rosenberg. Rob Dabbio, I think, is brilliant. Yeah, those two always come to mind. Alexander Pfister, I think, is amazing. Keith Matejka of Thunderworks Games, I think, is really amazing as well. Ryan Lockett at Red Raven Games, I think, is truly incredible. Yeah, those are a few that jump to the top of the list. Oh, Inga and Marcus Brand, that team of Inga and Marcus, they are incredible. And I think someday another couple that I think could be up there is Min and Elwin, who did the Lost Ruins of Ardak. I think they are truly incredible as well. Those are a few that come to mind. It's hard to pick one. It's really hard to pick just one. Philippe says, have I talked about my sandbox exploration game recently? How's it going? It's going okay. It is a game that I had to set aside for a little bit to work on another game that I needed to work on based on some timing things I needed to do with that specific game. So it is a game that I think about all the time, but I have not actually made much progress on it for a few months now. But that should change in January. January, I should be able to get back and start focusing a lot more on that game. And I'm really excited to do that. Tyson says, a lot of questions today. By the way, thank you for all these questions. These are wonderful questions. I really appreciate you joining me live to ask these questions. And actually, before I go to questions, let me see if there's any topics that I need to cover real quick. Nothing that I really need to cover. I've been working on a lot of game design stuff recently. A lot of that has been on Rolling Realms promos for non-Stonemaier games. We have a bunch in the works that will come out over the next few years. So I'm really excited about that. Feel free to get in on the ground floor early for Rolling Realms if you're excited about seeing promos from other games in Rolling Realms. And I found out recently that my parents have been playing Rolling Realms once a night. So they have a few realms that they really enjoy, and once a night they pull up one of my videos on YouTube and play with their son, which I think is just adorable, and I love hearing that. And that was really neat for me to hear on my weekly call with my mom and dad. And other quick things that I've been up to recently: I did a Secret Santa gift exchange this past weekend with a bunch of friends. Really good food, some fun gifts. I got socks, and I got disc golf gifts, new disc golf discs, both of which I was really excited about. And also played disc golf this past weekend, and I had a Zoom trivia night. I don't typically gravitate towards trivia nights. I'm terrible at trivia nights, but they work really well on Zoom. I have a friend who does this once a year where he hosts a big Zoom trivia night. I had a lot of fun doing that. So those are the quick things that I've been up to recently. And if you join me late, the games that I played recently are Flesh and Blood, Lost Ruins of Arnak with the expansion, Ark Nova, Maglev Metro, and Role Player Adventures. That's what I've gotten to the table. All right, back to the questions, these great questions. Tyson says, for a smaller, medium-sized publishing company, you seem to have international distribution figured out rather well. Would you ever partner with other smaller US-based publishing companies to help them distribute their games without exorbitant international shipping fees? That's an interesting question, Tyson. So, maybe. The reason I'm hesitant about that is because the reason that we would consider doing that is if we had room in our shipping containers, but we don't. Our shipping containers are full. However, for international distribution in particular, I'll give you an example. We work with Asmodee as a distributor, and we don't create containers for them. Asmodee tells us, okay, we want these games of yours, and they talk directly with our manufacturer, Panda, and they take those games of ours or those products of ours, and they mix them in with other products that they are buying from publishers that also work with Panda, and they put them in their containers. They work that out however they want, and they ship those containers wherever Asmodee needs them to go. So I think the real answer here, Tyson, is if you can get distribution, or if smaller publishing companies, other publishing companies can get distribution with Asmodee, or other distributors that are buying from us directly and shipping directly out of China from Panda, from publishers that also work with Panda, then I think this will happen naturally without you really having to do any extra legwork and without us having to do any extra legwork as well. So I'd recommend doing those combinations of things. Manufacture with Panda and get in with Asmodee as a distributor. And any other distributors? We work with a bunch of different distributors. In Canada, we work with Universal in particular. So get in with Universal. They ship. We ship directly with them. So get in with these big distributors, which I know is no easy task. That takes work, but that's your job. That's not our job to do. So if you get in with those distributors, you will inherently, and you work with Panda, you will inherently be consolidated with those other other companies like Stonemaier Games where we offer direct shipping directly out of Panda. That is a long answer. I'm hoping that helps, but I'll be here to answer more questions if you have more questions, follow-up questions about that in the comments here. Gabe says, is there a place in St. Louis to buy locally at a discount? So I work from my home office. So Stonemaier Games is run from home offices. We don't have a place where you can just walk in and buy Stonemaier Games products. However, you can always get Stonemaier Games products at a discount if you are Stonemaier champion. Starting on January 1st, you will get a 20% discount off of anything that you buy from our web store. It is shipped from a warehouse. We don't have local pickup, basically, but you do get a discount on those products, 20% discount. Yeah, hopefully that helps answer your question, Gabe. I think you were kind of asking for local pickups to get a discount for that, but the warehouse we use, the fulfillment center we use, does not allow that option. Mark says, is the model type of printer you would suggest for printing is there a model or type of printer that you would suggest printing fan content for playtesting? Should I just get a cheap one, print on paper, and just reinforce with cardboard, or get a printer that can print cards? The printer that I use for prototyping is, let me look at what it actually is. It's an HP LaserJet Pro 200, and it is a color printer. It is a pretty good printer. I like how it works out. It is very heavy, and as you can see it right there, it's pretty big. I use this printer for printing on normal paper in black and white. That is my heavy-duty printer that I use, and I just use 80-pound paper. I forget the brand. Maybe Hammermill. 80-pound paper from Hammermill. It's really good paper. It's really good for printing in color. Beyond that, I wouldn't suggest going beyond, I wouldn't get fancy. I wouldn't try to replicate any fancy printer paper because it's going to be pretty much impossible. Special printer paper has layers to it, has textures to it. You're not going to be able to get professional level paper, and you don't need it for prototypes. So I would just get a printer that you're happy with and use 80-pound paper. I think that replicates, and it doesn't exactly replicate the feel of cards, but it feels more quality than standard. A standard, copy paper. Tim says he's so happy that one of his friends moved back to town and he taught him Rolling Realms the other day. Thank you for doing that, Tim. I always appreciate when people teach our games to other people. Sean says, any news or responses on upcoming Rolling Realms promo packs? So the only news that I've announced so far is the realm that we already have, the Terra Mystica realm. I think maybe the other thing I've said a little bit about is that there is a Rolling Realms realm for Rolling Realms that we've already made, but I haven't announced when we will release that yet. Yeah. Tobias says, are the cards in Arts and Architecture another card stock than you normally use? They felt different in my hands. Nope. Yeah, they're the same card stock that they use. They might feel a little different because they're new. After you use cards for a while, they have a little extra pliability to them. But yeah, they're the same card stock that we've used in the past. We use Ivory Core card stock. It's a sustainable card stock that we use that's fairly high quality. Sean says, did anyone ask for chocolate of the day? No one has yet. What is my chocolate of the day? Oh, I have a chocolate cookie that I got the other day from, where did I get that? Oh, from Union Loafers here in St. Louis. So that chocolate chip cookie will be my lunch dessert today and my chocolate of the day. Jay says, have I seen the new BGG Art Series preview today? What are your thoughts on the entire line and especially the Stonemaier Games concepts? I haven't seen any Stonemaier Games concepts on there. The only ones I've seen from Stonemaier Games in the past are that Andrew Bosley did one for Scythe that I thought was really cool. And I can't remember the artist who did Wingspans, but it looked really cool. The only one that I saw was on Facebook last night, I believe, from Mr. Cuddington, the husband-wife team, David and Lena. And they did one for Quacks of Quedlinburg that I thought was really beautiful. I think it's a really cool series. I haven't actually bought any of them yet, but I love seeing artists do different takes on existing board game boxes. And if you were an artist trying to get into the industry, I think this is the #1 way that you can get attention to yourself. Take a game that you love and do your own art for the box and share it on Facebook groups and on Board Game Geek. You will get a ton of attention for doing that, and you get to showcase your skills, and you get to show your love for a game that you love. And I think people are drawn to that. People are drawn to people sharing love for things that they are excited about. Just my tip for artists who want to break into in the industry. Juso says, if I had to re-release one of my games with a Cthulhu theme, what game would you choose? None of them. I don't get excited about Cthulhu themes. I don't mind them. I play games with that theme, but that isn't a theme that I would get excited about to do with any of our games. There is, I mean, that isn't to say that there aren't, that we, I don't know. I don't want to give anything away. It isn't something that I think we will pursue, but there is the potential for Cthulhu adjacent elements to end up in Stonemaier products in the future. I think that's all I can say at this point. Simon says, is there any chance of a Charterstone sequel? I don't have anything like that planned or in the works, but I have given the Charterstone Digital folks free reign to try new things with Charterstone Digital specifically. So that's where I think I would recommend that you look for that. So if you want to play Charterstone and see some new things, I think they actually have already implemented a few new things in Charterstone Digital, but feel free to check that out. I think that's the place that you'll see new Charterstone stuff in the future, if at all. But I appreciate your enthusiasm for more Charterstone stuff. Felipe says, well, so you put your exploration game aside for a while to work on another game. What is that one all about? That I can't say. I appreciate your curiosity, but I'm not going to talk about that yet. Yeah. Tim says, am I going to Geekway Mini? No, I'm not going to Geekway Mini this year, but I am excited to go to the full Geekway in May or June, whenever it is in 2022. Andrew says that he loves Scythe. He cannot overstate how much it means to him and his wife. He says, would I consider doing a smaller box card game in the universe? Andrew says, I love card games, and it would be great to still get a play for 1920 plus game when I don't have time for a full game of Scythe. I think it would be satisfying even without a ton of minis because the art is so awesome and unique. I agree with the art and the world, Andrew. It's an amazing world, and it's one that I hope to revisit someday in some form. I can't say that small box card games are something that gets me excited to create, although there are exceptions to that. I created Rolling Realms, which is mostly just a card game and 2 dice. So I guess there is the possibility for that in the future, but we'll see what happens with that. Yeah. Andrew says, any thoughts on Maglev Metro? Yeah, my video for that will go live in a few weeks, I think. Although, yeah, like a week and a half, very, very soon. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a really cool take on the pick up and deliver genre, where in Maglev Metro, the twist is, instead of just picking something up and dropping it off and maybe getting a little reward for that, the people or the robots that you are dropping off go onto your player mat and improve your engine in the game, which is a really nice twist. It adds progression to a pick up and deliver game, which I think is usually that genre is a little flat. You're picking up, you're delivering, and then you're repeating that. Maglev Metro adds a strong sense of engine building and progression to the game, which I thought was really, really cool. Yeah, I'll talk more about that in detail in my video, but I mean, initial thoughts, I really enjoyed my first play of it. All right, Sean says, can Walter and Biddy have their own Rolling Realms cards? Walter and Biddy aren't exactly a game, so I don't know if they'll have their own cards. But, that could be a fun thing to do for April Fool's Sunday, have a Walter and Biddy realm in Rolling Realms. And really, I should sneak them into the art of one of the Rolling Realms games. And I actually have an idea. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think I have a place for where that can happen. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. See, I love people mentioning random comments and ideas like that, because it really can influence the little things that I do. And it's a good reminder. I have a lot to think about, and I have a terrible memory. So remembering little things like that can be really helpful. So thank you for thinking of that and asking about that. Andrew says, not to spam the questions. No worry, there's no spamming the questions. Have you considered doing a game with strong diplomacy and negotiation? I think Stonemeier's high player count philosophy really sets the stage for these mechanisms. And even auctions as well. I'd love to maybe do some sort of auction game with a negotiation diplomacy someday. I don't have anything like that in the works right now. I'm trying to think of, no, I don't. But it is possible for me to do that someday. And I do try to push myself as a designer with different mechanisms. I don't want to do the same thing. For a while, I was like only doing worker placement. And I realized that, and I was like, okay, I don't want to just do worker placement. I want to do other things as well. So it's totally possible. I love the challenge of trying new mechanisms. Philippe says, I know I'm persistent. Just a little hint about the secret new game. Just a little one, and I will be happy. Philippe, I hate to take away your happiness, but I don't answer spoiler questions. So I hope you can find some joy in the games that are already available to you and the expansions that are already available to you. And you can anticipate learning more about our future products. And I'm happy to talk about them when I'm ready to talk about them. Let's see. Mark says, thanks for the suggestions about the paper and the printer. Thanks, Mark. Yeah. And he says, I want to play some more games before I will explore designing a game. And I think that's a great approach, Mark. I think it's great. I mean, I've learned so much from playing games from other designers that those games have impacted my games in a variety of ways. Even just learning what else is out there, so I know that I'm at least trying to do something unique and innovative, is really helpful for me. It's one of the reasons why I continue to play games all the time. I mean, I love playing games as a hobby, but I also learn from every game that I play as a designer. Keith is here. Keith Matesa from Thunderworks. Keith says, what's my favorite auction game? I have a video about this, but I believe it is Ra. I really, really love Ra. It is a wonderful, wonderful auction game, to the point that I actually tried to get the rights for it, but they weren't available. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other. There are a bunch on the list, but Ra is the one that I think was at the top of that list. Tim says, Tim says that we have expansions coming next year. Tim's talking about Stonemaier Games. We hope to have expansions next year for Viticulture and Wingspan, along with some more realms for Rolling Realms. And that is very true. We also have one, maybe two new games coming out in 2022. It's hard to anticipate right now with shipping, because in a normal time, I know for sure that we would have two games next year. But with shipping the way it is, I have no idea when one of those games will actually arrive. So, yeah, it's a toss-up right now with the way freight shipping is. Andrew says, did I see the Napoleonic area control game Coalitions? I thought the mechanisms of you having to ask an opponent for permission for extra actions, where the opponent gets a bonus for allowing it, was a great way to keep player interaction positive within diplomacy and negotiation. That is really cool. I hadn't heard about that, but that is a really clever twist on negotiation. I like the idea of having a double reward there, having positivity come out of negotiations on both sides of things. And really, that's the best way, I think, for negotiation games to work, where both players walk away feeling like they got something. I think Trade on the Tigris does that really well. Philippe says, what am I doing for Christmas besides working on secret game design? I'm not entirely sure yet. We're still working that out, exactly what we're going to do for Christmas and for the holidays. For the most part, I'll be working. I generally like to work every day if I can, every day of the week, 7 days a week. I get a lot of joy from doing that, and for being here to interact with people who want to interact with our games and want to talk about our games. So I will be doing that every day. I don't think I will take a break from that at the very least. But hopefully also hoping to play some games. Like, I'm hosting a little game day this weekend, which is kind of getting close to the holidays, where I'm trying to play some games for some 2021 games before 2021 is over. Although I'm tempted to just play Ark Nova a couple times that day, because I'm really, really enjoying Ark Nova. So those are my plans so far. Do any of you have that? Do you have any games that came out in 2021 that you're really hoping to play before 2021 is over? I know it's a weird year for shipping, and so maybe you got some games a lot later than you thought. But yeah, let me know if there are any games that you're really hoping to get to the table before the year is over. That's all the questions that I can see from now, but we have a few more minutes. So let me reiterate some of the things that I talked about. On my video this past week, I didn't mention that. My long form video was a video about games where the themes are really well integrated and intertwined with the mechanisms. And really, if I had played Ark Nova before filming that video, it definitely would have been on that list. But I go into 10 different categories, 10 different ways that games do this. That's a different video. This is 23 different ways and examples of games where themes and mechanisms are intertwined really, really well. I did want to mention that I am going to play a round of Rolling Realms today, and the realms I'll be using are Viticulture, the Society, and Wingspan. So if you want to play against me today, I don't know exactly what time I'll be doing it. Could be early afternoon, it could be late afternoon, but I will be doing that in the Rolling Realms Facebook group if you want to play against me live. And I also talked about the blog post about Wombo, which Mark mentioned that he appreciated that post. Thank you, Mark. Wombo is an app that you can use to generate prototype art using only a few terms. And I also did a blog post going over some insights from the 2021 demographics survey. That was my last Thursday blog post. Yeah. Sean says he's very interested in Euphoria. Since it's an older game, there isn't much discussion about it. Which type of game player enjoys Euphoria the most? That's a good question. What type of game player? I would say a Euro game player who doesn't mind a little bit of luck because there is dice. There are dice in the game. Who loves the dystopian theme, and who likes being a little sneaky because there's a little bit of sneakiness in Euphoria. I actually just did a video about games where you get to be sneaky. I don't think that's gone live yet, but I filmed it recently, and I actually don't even know if I put Euphoria on that list, but it should have been because Euphoria you can be a little sneaky in that game. Tim says, have I watched Yellow Jackets? I have not watched Yellow Jackets, Tim. What's that about? And John says, what Kickstarter games coming in soon are you the most excited about? Let me pull up my Kickstarter list so I can properly answer that. I usually am just surprised when a Kickstarter game shows up. Andrew says, thanks for answering his question about a 1920 plus small box game. At this point, I will take any game in that world and would particularly like it to feature cards because of the art that can go on those cards. And I agree. Yeah, if we ever make another game in that world, I agree that cards are a great way to showcase Jakob Brzezowski's art. All right, what projects do I have coming? Let's see. I'm looking for backed projects. Actually, Merchants of the Dark Road. I'm really excited about that. I think some people got to play that at PAX. And I'm really excited to get my Kickstarter copy of that. It looks beautiful. Marvel Dice Throne, it's going to be a while, but I'm excited about that game. Let me scroll down a little bit to see which ones are coming in the fairly near future. Because I'm excited about Dog Park and Flamecraft and Mythwind and Steam Up. Marvel Dice Throne, City of the Great Machine. I'm excited about those, but those aren't coming for a long time. Wicked and Wise, that won't come for a while. Earthborn Rangers won't come for a long time. Soul Raiders won't come for a long time. So many games here. Let's see, which ones will be delivered in the fairly near future? Looks like there's a Tussie Mussy. I've asked something related to Tussie Mussy, an expansion. So I'm excited about that. I don't know when the estimated delivery, October 2021. Well, that didn't happen, and that's okay. But I look forward to that arriving when it does. I already have Floriferous. I'm looking forward to playing Floriferous this weekend. That one did arrive. Actually, that one was way ahead of schedule. Wow. Estimated delivery May 2022, but that delivered a few weeks ago. Well done to Pencil First Games. I am excited to play the Floating World game. I think it's just called Floating World. I will play that next week. That was a fairly recent Kickstarter delivery for me. Caper Europe should deliver fairly soon. I'm excited about that. Oh, the Castles of Mad King Ludwig Collector's Edition. Really excited about that one. I can't wait for that. Darwin's Journey and Momiji. I'm also excited about those games. Well, there's so many games here. I got my Cartographer's Heroes recently and really enjoyed that. The Seventh Citadel. I backed that a while ago. That's not until May 2022 that they're expecting that, but I am excited about that. A lot of games here. And I have received my copy of Glenmore 2, the Highland games, but I haven't played that one yet. So many games on this list, some of which have arrived, some of which haven't, but that's okay. I know it's a tough time. Age of Atlantis, I'm excited about that. That one looks like it's a little bit behind, but I am excited to get that when it's ready. That looks like a really, really beautiful game. Yeah, I think that's it. Merchants of the Dark Road, that is one that looks like it's running a little bit behind, but that's okay. I'm excited to get it when I get it. I'm going way down on this list now. I need to go back to comments in a second. The Emerald Flame. I'm excited to show that with Megan when that's ready because Megan loves puzzly games. And Canvas, wow, Canvas I think came out in 2021. Yeah, that takes me back. Going through this Kickstarter list takes me back here. All right, let me look back at comments now. I had to look at that list for a few minutes. Tim says that Yellow Jackets is about a soccer team's plane that crashed in the mountains. It goes between the past and the present. Interesting. No, I haven't heard of that. Andrew says, did I see Hegemony? He thought the theme was great and loved the educational aspect. That the game was an invitation to explore concepts. I don't think I saw that, but yeah, I don't think I have seen Hegemony. Not yet. Mark says that he was looking forward to playing Solani, but the publisher had to push the game to next year. They're still tweaking the game as per their recent updates. Well, I'm glad they're keeping you updated. I think that's the key. Just keep backers updated. Dominic says he wanted to play an Uwe Rosenberg game. I'm thinking of getting Caverna since it seems a little more forgiving than Agricola. Do I prefer Caverna? If I'm going to play one of those two games in person, I'm going to play Caverna. Yeah. A little more complex too, but it is also a little more forgiving. But Agricola has a great board game arena version, so that could be a good way to learn the game, learn Agricola on Board Game Arena, and it'll teach you a lot of the concepts that you'll need for Caverna. Tim has Nemesis Lockdown coming any time now. Philippe says, what are my 3 best games of 2021? I'm going to reveal this list soon. I'll wait to the end of 2021 to even film the list because I'll be playing games right up until the end of the year. Currently, some games that are vying for that spot are Dice Miner, Dice Throne, Role Player Adventures. I always say those two games mixed up. So Dice Miner, Role Player Adventures, Sleeping Gods, and Ark Nova. Those are the 4 that I think are vying for those top spots right now. And Tim clarifies that Yellow Jackets is on Showtime. We don't have Showtime right now, but eventually I'll need to get it to, because I've heard of some pretty good shows that are on there. Tony says, looking at his board game played stats for the games his group plays, he notices that for games that they've played 10 or more times, my best stats are for Shards of Infinity. He wins 75% of the time, and his worst is Tiny Towns, 14% win. What would you guess are your best and worst games in regards to wins? Ooh, I am not great at winning games per se, so I don't know if I would have any games jump to the top of that list. Let's look at my collection over here to see if there's any games that I'm even like remotely above average at. Blockus, I'm pretty good at Blockus, but typically the people who want to play Blockus with me are also pretty good as well at Blockus. Yeah, that's the only one that really jumps out as a game that I'm generally good at. There are many games that I'm not good at. I can pick many games off my shelf that I'm not very good at. Does anyone else have thoughts about that? Or especially if you keep stats of your plays, are there certain games that you win well above average, or games that you lose well below average number of times? Don't see any other questions here. I don't really have any other topics today, so I might cut it a little bit short today. Let me see if I have any fun emails that I've received while I'm talking that might tie into what we're talking about today. I don't see anything jump out right now. No great news. I'm always hoping for some great news about shipping when I look over at my email. Looks like a few more questions here. I'll answer these questions. Sean says, what Stonemaier game am I best at? Yeah, that's a good question. I've become pretty good, I think, at Rolling Realms because I play it so often now. I'm not great at Tapestry. I'm average at Tapestry. I'm average at Scythe. I'm pretty good at Viticulture. That would be one to challenge me at a little bit. Pretty good at Viticulture. Yeah, I would say some of those are the games that I'm maybe the best at. But not. There are many people who are better than me. But if I had to choose one with a good chance of winning, I would choose one of those games, I think. Isaac says, will we see any other games come to Rolling Realms in the future? Specific titles? I'm not going to give specific titles away right now, other than the Rolling Realms realm for Rolling Realms. But yes, we are working on multiple batches of promos for a variety of other games. A few published by Stonemaier Games, and most of them published by other companies. I look forward to revealing them to you once they're ready. Yeah. John says, have I seen the Wormwood Stonemaier bundles with their gaming accessories? I have not seen that. No. They haven't mentioned anything like that to me. So hopefully they're looking good. Yeah. I've never seen them. Tim says, what's my favorite Christmas film? I used to watch Home Alone at Christmas a lot as a kid. I enjoyed that. I even heard that the new version of Home Alone, the one that just came out, was actually pretty good, and I want to see that. And last year we watched a movie called Claus, an animated movie. I believe it was just Claus, or Klaus or Claus on Netflix, animated movie on Netflix. That was actually really good. I wouldn't mind watching that sometime if I want to be in the Christmas spirit. Chad says, am I still watching Hawkeye? Any new shows? I am still watching Hawkeye. Still really enjoying it. I'm excited to watch it today. Probably at lunchtime today. We'll probably watch it. Really enjoyed that. Maybe at dinner. It might be a dinner show. And what else are we watching right now? We are watching The Other Two on HBO as our lunchtime comedy. We're watching The Morning Show as our nighttime drama show. Yeah, that's what we're watching right now. I think those are the main three. But I'm always open to recommendations. I know Tim is always good, has some good recommendations here, and I'm open to any others that anyone else wants to chime in on. Mark says, will there be an alternative plan for the existing realms for Rolling Realms? An alternative realm for the existing realms. I don't think we'll do that. I think we'll just stick with one realm per game and per brand. Tony says, pick a side. Am I a heat miser or a snow miser? So is that like someone who hates being hot, someone who hates being cold or hates the snow? You know, working from home, I don't mind the snow all that much. It gets in the way of disc golf a little bit, but yeah, I think I would prefer snow to heat right now. But really, I prefer the in-between seasons. I like the in-between seasons where it isn't too hot or too cold. Today is actually a pretty beautiful day in St. Louis. A little wet, but very warm for December in St. Louis. Andrew says, is there a place where we can get more information about the designers at Stonemaier Games Design Day? He heard about a game on the Beans and Dice podcast that I'm very interested in. They compared it to Twilight Imperium. Interesting. So every year after Design Day, I write a blog post about it. So if you search the Stonemaier Games blog for Design Day, you can see a recap of that, and you can get the names of the designers and the games and the names of the games as they presented them at Stonemaier at the Design Day. So go back and look at the 2021 post for our Design Day this year. You can learn about that. And there's a post for every previous Design Day that's linked to that one. That would probably be the best way to go learn about those games. George says, how different is Viticulture Essential Edition from the very first Viticulture Kickstarter Edition game in terms of gameplay and experience? It's a lot of little differences. So in the original game, the Grande Worker wasn't there. And the Grande Worker is one of the best things about Viticulture, in my opinion. The way that you making wine was a little different. It was a little too confusing, so we changed the way you made wine a little bit. There wasn't a rule about like if you wanted to give a wine tasting in the original version, you didn't actually have to have any wine. Now to give wine tastings, you need to have made wine and have wine in your cellar to do that. And also in the original version, the visitor cards weren't balanced as well. In the original version, there were many visitors that were either good early in the game or late in the game, and I realized all those cards need to be relevant throughout the game. Some of them are still situational, but they need to be relevant whether you're drawing them early in the game or late in the game. And so that was pretty different in the original version as well. Isaac says, back to Rolling Realms, do you have a dream game that you'd like to see added to it? I have a couple of dream games I'd like to see added to it, and some of them are already actually being added to it. That process is already in motion. There's one game, actually there are a couple where I'm still hoping to hear back from the publishers about. I don't know if they'll say yes or no, but I'm hoping they say yes. Yeah. Gino says that they started reading Red Rising. That's awesome. They're loving it so far. Have you read anything recently? The book that I'm reading right now is called Jade Legacy. It's the third book in the Green Bone saga, and I'm really enjoying it. But I'm glad you're enjoying Red Rising. I can't wait for book 6 to come out. Tim says he just started watching Foundation, or maybe reading Foundation, watching or reading. We just finished watching the Foundation series, and I really enjoyed it. Very well done series on Apple TV. David says that he finally played Euphoria at PAX with 5 people. All of us enjoyed it, and since most of us had played your later games, it led to a whole bunch of conversations, Facebook said, about specific mechanisms that you reused and often improved in subsequent games of yours. Looking back after working on so many other games, are there elements which you would have tweaked? I think the main thing I would have tweaked about Euphoria is how easy it can be taught or learned. I think the board has a lot going on. And even though I tried to create some parallel structures, so you only have to learn how like one commodity area works to understand how another commodity area works, I might have changed the board layout a little bit. We went with an art first approach with this. So I asked Jackie Davis to create the art for this world, and then we applied the graphic design to it. And I probably would have done that differently. I would have worked with Christine, our graphic designer, first to create what the layout would be. So it would be a lot more parallel structures on the board, and then had art applied to it. That's the main thing I think I would have changed. Also, there were a few things that we added in the expansion, like the solo mode. There's a little market for the artifact cards, and there's an official variant that we made official as part of that expansion, where you have to spend morale to take double turns, basically. So if you have doubles available in the first version of Euphoria, you can place each of them on your turn. And in a later variant, we said, okay, you have to pay some morale to be able to do that. And I like that variant. Yeah. Let's see. Tony says, the Miser Brothers are from A Year Without a Santa Claus, and you made the correct choice. Okay, I haven't heard of that, but I'm glad I made the correct choice. Philippe says, you mentioned that you are working 7 days a week. Do you have a specific schedule for each day? How many hours do you work a week? Do you count the hours? I don't count the hours, no, but I do have a fairly specific schedule every day. I get up around 7 o'clock, and I do some cat stuff first thing in the morning. By 7:30, I am going through emails mostly early on in the day. I have different social media things that I do every day. Like Tuesday is my filming day. I have blog posts that I do on Monday and Thursday. So yeah, if you look up, search Stonemaier Games for a work day in the life of Jamey Stegmaier, and you'll see what it looks like. So there's stuff I do in the morning until lunch. I take a quick break at lunch. I do stuff in the afternoon up until dinner, and then after dinner I go back to work for a few hours, ideally on creative stuff. That's my creative time if I have time for it. And weekends are maybe a little different than that, but because we often have other activities because other people don't work on weekends. But that is generally my schedule for weekends too. So unless we have a big weekend activity, I'm typically working around 70 hours a week. And that I found is a good sweet spot for me. I like to work that amount. I feel productive if I work that amount. Although one of the nice things about my schedule is it's a fairly low pressure schedule. So like sometimes during the day I will watch a review about a video game or a tabletop game, usually tabletop games, or I'll read about it, or I'll listen to a podcast while I do something else. And so I do consume a lot of board game content. It is kind of work, but it means that I could probably do my job in a lot tighter hours, maybe 40 to 50 hours, but it gets spread out a little bit more over 60, 70 hours, and I like that relaxing schedule of it. Yeah. Chad says, have you watched Dune yet, the new Dune movie? He says, wow, I have watched it, and that was my reaction to the cinematic nature of it as well. I kind of wish it wasn't a movie split into 2 parts, but at the same time, I'm glad that they did it that way, because there's a lot to cram into 2.5 hours, and I look forward to an epic conclusion in the second movie. All right, looks like we are at the end of questions today. Thank you so much for joining me with all these wonderful questions. I appreciate your curiosity. Even if I wasn't able to fully answer your question, I really do appreciate your curiosity and your passion. And yeah, I'll be back next Wednesday as usual to chat about some other things. So have a great Wednesday, a great week, and I will see you next week. And maybe I'll see you in the Rolling Realms group later today for some Rolling Realms. Yeah, all right. Take care. Bye.